Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Baka podcast.
Baka. It's amazing how every time you open your mouth, you prove you're an idiot.
Welcome to Baka. This is our anime podcast, and tonight we are doing a mini episode. Or today, whenever you hit play on this. Troy, you said we're watching My Hero Academia and talking about that. Well, little elf who lives under my microphone, we switched things up a little bit. We're doing this midweek to give you something to listen to, talk about while we're waiting for the regular episode to air. Starting with that, let's go to my co-host tonight, the yellow lion to my Voltron, Jason. How you doing, Jason?
Doing fantastic. Glad to be here.
You know that makes you the leg, right? I just want you to know where your role is.
2 weeks in a row, I feel insulted.
They're only going to get better. It's all uphill from here.
Perfect. You need to hit rock bottom before you start going back up.
So, like I said, this is our mini episode. We are only going to talk for a very short time. As you notice, Jeremy couldn't be here tonight. He had a life to live, apparently. We are going to deal with something that came up in the first episode. Now, if you listen to the first episode, Jason's number one of his top 5 anime was Dragonball Z.
Of course it was.
And he went on about how great it was. He also talked about animes like Yugioh. And meanwhile, for anime like that, I sat on the sideline and mocked like a coward. And so we decided we're going to go ahead and get into a debate on this about long-running shonen anime, yay or boo. And Jason's obviously going to cover the yay side because he likes it so much, and I will be debating him about why these shows are awful.
Before we get started, I do need to say that Goku is most likely the best hero ever.
I will give you that he's the archetype for many heroes, but best hero, I feel like
his tenacity is so amazing.
All their tenacity is so amazing, as you will see as we talk about these animes. You can't be in an anime. You can't watch an anime this long without tenacity. So we're going to go ahead and get this started, and we're going to start off with the yay, the pro side of the long-running shonen anime. Now, shonen anime is anime for a young male audience, but this is the ones that go 300, 600 episodes long, usually based on very long-running mangas that show up in Shonen Jump and other forms. So, Jason, why don't you go ahead and start, and I will, again, mock you as you tell us why these animes are so wonderful.
Absolutely. First off, I want to start off with, the main hitters here are going to be like Dragon Ball Z, Bleach, and our upcoming My Hero Academia, but we're probably not going to touch on that much. Also, I want to warn you, this is going to be extremely spoiler heavy for these older anime. So if you haven't watched them and you don't want to hear us talk about it, well, watch me come back.
Good catch on the spoilers. Yes, and we will put a list in our episode description, both in YouTube, iTunes, and all places we post the podcast of what animes we do really get into and spoil. So check that now before you go farther. And if you're fine with what we spoil, keep on listening.
So, like I said, like with Dragon Ball Z, Yu-Gi-Oh, for instance, Bleach, with Ichigo and Goku, you have these iconic characters that you not only get to see complete amazing storylines, but then continue that life, if you will. And you really get this feeling of attachment, if you will. And when you can see them grow as characters, but then, for instance, you hit Super Saiyan 3, right? And he's going to get stronger, and he hits the weird cat thing, and then now it's not canon, and then it went.
I would say the only character growth Goku goes through this entire anime is through his hair.
I will concede on that a little bit, but it's like, oh, okay. So for instance, is Super Saiyan God mode, he gets even smaller and his hair is like normal, right?
Gotta get on that Super Saiyan God mode diet.
So I think it's a way for us to continue on with a story that we love. Cause, some older animes that, might come to mind, such as, the Full Metal Alchemist, that came to an end. And we don't get to know what happened after the very last episode with our main characters. I mean,
there's a movie.
Oh, what happens after the movie?
Look. Okay, go ahead. I'll address this later. We're bringing this back up, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, for instance, I will make to that point with the star of what's the star of it was the Full Metal Alchemist movie. I can't remember the last, but anyways, so oh god, why can't I remember their names? I just watched it okay, what are the two main characters?
Edward and Alphonse.
Yeah, so Alphonse, his, kind of love interest at the end of that movie. What happens with them, right? Does he ever go back to see her?
I had to correct you. You were talking about the wrong movie. You're talking about the movie from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which does the shonen anime movie major sin of not taking place at any point in the storyline and just happening so we can have some extra fun. I'm talking about the movie, and I'm going to forget the name too. There is a movie that does an epilogue to the original Full Metal Alchemist that deals with where Edward ended up, where Alphonse ended up, and how they're trying to reconnect or not.
Oh, yeah. And what, they hopped through the gate to like our world, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That was a great movie, by the way.
A great epilogue. So that's going to be my point later, is that it was a nice way to say goodbye to these characters, that movie.
But you don't have to in Bleach.
Fair enough.
So yeah, that's kind of my biggest point with it, is that I think, if you fall in love with the characters, you fall in love with the storyline, you get to experience that, throughout the years. Or if you stumble across one like I did with Bleach, you get just amazing amounts of content you get to start burning through. So that's pretty great too.
When you start an anime like that, do you feel intimidated by the size of it? Like, hey, One Piece looks really cool. I'm 557 episodes behind. I could bust that out in 2 years and maybe catch up.
I don't feel the need to catch up. I don't feel behind, like you said. And intimidation, not really. Like, if I see a huge amount of episodes, like, I'll watch it till I start to lose interest, or another anime's come along and I want to watch that one instead. But, what's cool about that is that once I'm done with that other anime that ends, now I can go back to where I picked up.
And so you like you said, you've seen Bleach.
Yes.
And are completely okay with the path it took. Specifically,
okay.
Go ahead.
Specifically what? No, I want to hear this.
How do you handle filler?
You can take it one of two ways. An anime that was really terrible at filler was Yugioh. That one made me want to strangle the writers, because they went on these tangents that had just no bearing on the story whatsoever. Like, I really didn't need to know about Weedle's backstory, right? I didn't need to know where Captain America, or whatever his name was, he wore the like bandana with the the stereotype. That is actually one of the, okay, I have to go side tangent here. That character was the funniest, stereotype of America that I've ever seen. 'Cause I'm an American.
I'm an American. I don't need your tenacity or your skills. I've got America.
But like, yeah, you know, like that dude. I did not need to know about like, you know, his backstory. But, you know, characters like Joey or, My Valentine, you know, that was cool to find out a little bit more about them. With Dragon Ball Z, there's not a lot of filler episodes because just about every episode is a filler episode.
Yeah, they took a different approach of just showing men grunting for 3 episodes and using that to slow down, because it's all about pressing the brakes so the manga can get ahead of you, right? Because you got to follow the manga.
So the big difference between Dragon Ball Z and Bleach is Dragon Ball Z is more of a soap opera, and Bleach was more of a long-running action. The reason I say that is because if you notice, yeah, there's a lot of power up, right? But there's this emotion attachment. You know, Vegeta's always talking about pride, and Goku's always talking about how he loves the earth, and
ham. He loves ham. He loves ham as much as he loves the earth. Earth and ham.
Well, amazing amounts of food, which could not be consumed by any one entity. But anyways, no, that was very much the back and forth pull of emotions, and I love you, I hate you. It was a soap opera, and I know I'm going to get blown up in the comments for saying that. But I still love it for what it was able to, present.
So my biggest issues with these long-running animes is these filler arcs, and Bleach is the most heinous of all of them, especially when they took a fight. It's Ichigo's Super Saiyan, probably biggest Super Saiyan moment, you know, because he had his Bankai moment where he transformed, but this is his true power comes out, and in the middle of this fight, they have another story arc. There's nowhere in the story you can even go. We're dealing with characters who are in the middle of fights elsewhere, injured, dead. They're still around. It's fine. And you have to watch like 2 or 3 filler arcs before the fight comes back on. It makes no sense to me. I'd rather you just stop showing the anime until you're ready to go. Naruto also was pretty bad for me because what they do is, like, Naruto and Sasuke would get in a big fight. They'd be mad at each other. And we're coming to that point where they're getting ready to be, Sasuke's ready to switch to an enemy. And a filler arc needs to start before we can do that. So it resets back to where they were. And by the end of the filler arc, they've reset where they were in the regular story so that they're the same tensions there again. So these character emotions keep happening twice, right? We keep getting the same character arcs in 2 different stories. That always drove me crazy.
So how else are you going to present these backstories for these side characters that are not your main character?
That's another issue. Every single character gets a backstory in these long-running shonen animes.
Exactly.
But always in the middle of a fight. I want to see the darn fight.
But how else are they going to tease you? How else are they going to hook you, right? Because, like, okay, for instance, when Ichigo first goes against the guy with the sword that can turn into like a snake thing, we don't know much about him until they interrupt that fight to tell us about his backstory. Yeah, what was neat about that for me is it enhanced, once the fight did come back, it enhanced the emotion of it, because it was not just, okay, you're rooting for Ichigo because he's trying to go save the girl, right? But now you've got, is it Renji? Yeah, Renji. And him and his battle. You know, him trying not only to prove himself and protect his home from this intruder, but also fighting with those emotions of, you know, should I help this kid or not?
It's not the backstories. I mean, and there's some actually great backstories. And so you gotta understand, I've seen most of these long-running animes more than I should have. If I went down the list, I've at least seen a couple story arcs in each one. With a few exceptions with the newer ones, because I've tried to stay away from them. I actually get really attached to these characters because of these good backstories, and sometimes they are done so well. It's the timing when I'm told them that really bugs me. Do it right before the fight. Do a whole episode that's just a flashback of Renji's backstory, and then have Ichigo run into Renji and have them fight.
But that doesn't make sense. It's not congruent, right?
That doesn't make sense. What?
So, like, you're going to build all this tension and this, I don't know, this anticipation of like, oh, we're going to like go into Renji's backstory right now. Completely different from why he's even in the picture right now, right?
Right. I just, it frustrates me when it's every time. Well, because even short-running animes will do it from time to time, but they have to be more selective of which characters get a backstory. I don't need Bug Kid from Yu-Gi-Oh's backstory because I don't care about this character anyway. And it's every character. Renji's an important one. Renji's a major character in Bleach. Not every character Ichigo fights is a major character in Bleach, though.
But it was neat to meet every single Soul Reaper in the Soul Society.
Okay. I was really okay with Bleach until that big filler arc fiasco. The filler arcs were getting to be a little bit much even before it. And then it's when Ichigo's hollow form fully takes over and he turns into a hollow with the horns and he's shooting an energy blast off of his forehead. And that fight is so amazing. The way they switch everything to dark and the energy coming off him lights up the sky. And then before we can finish, we have to deal with this baloney story that doesn't even matter. No one's ever going to refer back to it. No character changes can happen because we're in the middle of a fight. You can't have Ichigo get a new power in the middle of this fight. So that's...
I think it's also supposed to give the illusion of that the fight is happening for a long period of time. DBZ did a great job with that. For instance, with, during the Buu saga, you had Vegeta, join Majin Buu because he wanted to go, take on Goku. And that fight took forever. It was like 6 episodes long. And, they had to show in between them beating each other up, what the Grand Kai was doing and what Mahjong was doing.
But Ichigo is the star of the filler arcs. As if he left the fight, had other battles, and then came back and finished it.
I will concede on that because that was weird. Weird storytelling.
But yeah, you're right. With Dragon Ball Z, I actually think did it better. Actually Dragon Ball Z Kai has been really great because they've washed away a lot of that grunting and said, we can go fast now. We're not waiting for a manga anymore. And Dragon Ball Z Kai is much, much better show, I think. They're still not super fast. I still watch Trunks power up for 5 minutes. That still happens, but it's not 2 episodes of power,
Right.
So, but the honest truth is the only reason that I'm so against these long-running anime is because I love them so much. I grew up with Dragon Ball Z, and like I said, I've seen almost every single one of these, and when I started watching them, I was head over heels. I love the first story arc of Bleach is actually my favorite. When he's fighting monsters with, just using his sword and slicing up hollows, that was so cool to me. When it became more of a battle anime, those fights were cool, but the first story arc, when it's him and Rukia battling monsters on the street, that's like Batman joining Justice League. It was cool when Batman was just taking on the thugs before he went and helped fight Darkseid, right?
But so that's the problem is as the seasons went on, I think it's like 4 or 5, he fights that dude that's kind of like him, but he can have like half his mask on, and he was all dressed in white, and like his powers were just weird.
Yeah, but I love Naruto. Naruto is one of my favorite animes of all time. No matter what you think about,
so that one I could not get into.
I'll get wrecked on it, but the internet's very torn about Naruto. I've discovered. I always enjoyed Naruto. I even said my reasons why in the last episode. I couldn't go on with it, and part of that is becoming an adult in the real world. I don't. When I was a kid, I could play 4 hours of video games a day, watch 4 episodes of anime, go school and work a part-time job, and somehow I had time for all that. Now I watch an episode of anime, I'm like, time's up. That's my day. So I had to be a little bit pickier and choosier. I'm not going to ever get to the end of Naruto, and I'm bitter and resentful about that.
Well, I think it's all about setting expectations. Because if you don't have an expectation of ever getting to the end, because there really will never be an end. I mean, let's be honest. If there is an end, it's because the writers stopped writing and then they make a movie to like wrap it up.
I would love to tell you Naruto ended, but then they're starting Boruto, the story of his son. So technically it's still going.
Well, I mean, that's what happened with Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, that first story arc just kind of ended, and then now you don't have Yugi anymore. But then they're like, let's bring in DX and or whatever, or GX, right? And then all of a sudden I think the next one's going to be like a Sonic. He plays cards on a surfboard. And I was like, I don't know.
Shame on you, Yu-Gi-Oh! Shame on you for everything you did after dumping Yugi. Like, why would you even dump Yugi?
Right?
And I really want to see One Piece. And so One Piece is the one that I'd like to get into. The powers look unique. The animation style is cool, even though I think it's less in its its iteration now. They changed the art style a little bit. It's too far gone. I'll never catch up. And you say set your expectations, but my expectations is to be told a story, beginning, middle, end. I want to see Vegeta go from villain to I don't care, to I'm a good guy, back to villain, to I'm a good guy again. But once he's done that, where do you go with him? I want to see him reach that resolution, complete his character arc, be a full and complete character. Same with every one of these characters. I want to see them get that resolution they need and then just walk away.
So I want to come back to that, where you feel you need to catch up. So maybe you could expound upon that a little bit, because why do you feel the need to be like on the cutting edge of the next episode coming out?
It's not so much I need to be on the cutting edge. It's because anime is created so fast. I mean, we're starting My Hero Academia. We started that last week. And if I want to get into that show, that's going to take time away from One Piece. So now I have less time to watch One Piece. And okay, but wait, now there's Tokyo Ghoul. Okay, a little less One Piece. Okay, I'm never getting to the end of One Piece because these new shows that are all still amazing, and I want to see, I can watch Fullmetal Alchemist, beginning, middle, end, finish it, and then move on to the next great thing and not miss anything, and know that I saw the whole story. I found the character resolutions. I took an emotional experience away from it. Time for the next thing. I can't do that with One Piece. I had to at some point either say, screw you, Luffy. I'm moving on. My ship is sailing, to borrow the pun from them. Or, I'm sorry, all you new great anime. I've chosen my captain.
So if I get this right, you love these shows, but you don't feel you can hang on with them for the long haul because of how much time they would take to watch all of them.
Right. To get my, and I guess to me, that beginning, middle, and end is important. Even if you take a long time to get there, I want to experience all that. And to be honest, I went ahead and read the end of Naruto because I needed to know. I needed to know how it ended, because I'm a horrible person like that, I guess. And that's what I need. And these long running anime are taking that away from me. With that said, I have sworn off watching long running anime, and then I chose My Hero Academia for our first anime. I've also watched The Seven Deadly Sins on Netflix. I was like, oh, what's this? And then like 3 episodes in, oh no, it's a long running shonen battle anime. But it's good. I'm going to keep watching.
What have I done?
I know there's heartache down that road, and that just makes me more bitter and more angry at this genre.
Well, I think for my final thoughts, again, one of the reasons I fall in love with these anime is the enrichment of the characters, and you get to know them instead of jumping from one anime to the next, where you're just like, oh, that girl's just like this other girl, or hey, that's a clone of this guy. Like I said, you fall in love with these characters, and you just kind of want more. So that's my thoughts on that.
So my final thoughts is anime is like pizza. Pizza's great. Everyone loves to eat pizza. But you go to an all-you-can-eat pizza buffet, you eventually stop eating pizza. And that's what long-running shonen anime are to me. Hey, this is great. This is some of the best. My favorite even. There's too much. I've got to push it away. I've got to move on. I'm going to go home and maybe next week just order a medium.
Before we go, name your favorite long-running shonen character, and then your least favorite.
Shikamaru from Naruto is my favorite because anybody who's that lazy speaks to my heart. A character who is great in battle but doesn't care. He and you talk about the tenacity of all these characters that are stars of these shows, and he doesn't have it, and that's unique. So I love that. My least favorite is half the characters of Bleach. Chad and what's the Quincy? Because you're not doing anything on the show. You're not helping anymore. You're major characters, and then suddenly you get left behind. You just became Piccolo and Krillin, became Tien and Chaozu. Don't become Tien and Chaozu. Get good, guys. Get good.
Mine is obviously Goku, but Vegeta's a very, very close second. In fact, You
prefer Goku over Vegeta?
Only because he is the star, and I do love his character, that not only the story or the tropes that he developed that everyone else follows, but one of the reasons I love Vegeta is because he does the back and forth. He does I really want to do good, but I'm going to do bad to get to the good. And then my least favorite is Krillin. I think he is a terrible character, and I think he's a Deus Ex Machina.
Strongest human on the planet. Strongest human on the planet. Just think about that when you sleep tonight.
Well, what about Mr. Satan?
Well, stronger than Mr. Satan.
But Mr. Satan says he's stronger.
And that's fact. Okay? If there's anything I've learned from this political season, it's that whatever anyone says is fact.
What about Yamcha?
Come on, man. Come on, you can't throw that out for the end. Poor Yamcha. Moment of silence for Yamcha. That's all you get, Yamcha. You suck. Guys, thank you for listening to our podcast. We really appreciate it. We hope you like this mini episode. We're hoping to do more on different topics in the future. So do not forget, this week we are watching My Hero Academia, and we will be coming together next week to talk about that, and we hope to hear your thoughts on it. You can reach us on our Twitter at Baka Podcast, our email at theanimebakaclub@gmail.com, and also on our Tumblr, which is new, at Baka Podcast as well. So hope we get your subscribes, your likes, any support you give us would be great, but we hope mostly that you just enjoyed what you heard.
Have a good day, guys.
Adios.